As a man, if given the opportunity, or the choice rather, if your lady works out into the workplace or if she is a stay-at-home, which one would you pick? All right. The following content creator went to one of the richest counties in the United States, Orange County in California, and asked multimillionaires that very same question. Some of their answers are very surprising, so I thought that I would diagnose and get active. Without further ado, to become rich, you gotta know how to rich think. So let's get active.
How you doing, sir? I'm Snooch.
Snooch?
Yeah, what's your name?
Tom.
Tom. What do you do for work?
I'm a custom home builder.
Oh, we never got one of those before. Now, how much can one make doing that per year?
Depends on how good you are.
Can I make it a guess and then you just say higher or lower?
Sure.
Okay. I'll say 5 mil, higher or lower?
In what time period?
In a year.
In a year?
Yeah.
That's a good living.
Yeah? Okay, 5 mil. Okay, so we'll go with that. Now, how can one get in your shoes, get in your position, make the kind of money you make?
Size 12
how do you get started?
is hard to come by. There's not a lot of men today.
Yeah.
So to get started in what I do, it's basically you gotta have the love or passion.
Okay, passion.
For the trades.
Okay.
Right? For the trades industry. The second thing I would say is to continue that passion with dedication and hard work.
Okay.
The third thing is if you're not good with people, you won't make it.
Okay, so people, relationships,
yes.
Most important. Okay.
Yes.
Now, did you join the right company first to learn some of the skills, or you had to just do it on your own, or how did that go about?
I started mine at 21.
Okay, started yours at 21.
Yep, but I worked for several others prior to that and just kind of knew that was the direction I wanted to go.
Gotcha.
I saw other companies, guys that were or were just a little bit older than me that were doing it, and I said, hey, I can break off of this and do it myself.
Okay.
And so really it was, hey, I couldn't work for anybody. So, but there's not a lot of mentality that say that. They want to work, and then figure it out, right? So I broke off at a young age. I'm a little bit of an anomaly. I would say, the biggest thing for me is just having a dedication towards whatever your craft may be. It doesn't have to be building. You could be a doctor. You could be an attorney. And I've seen guys. I can tell. I'm an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
I'm a contractor, but I'm an entrepreneur. And I teach my kids that same thing. To love real estate and just love the art of creating something to help the world become a better place. And it's like if you need something, right, you're here to ease your life, right?
Right.
Eat something that you didn't cook, wear something that you didn't make, drive something that you didn't build, whatever. And it's about making life easier. And if you have that better mousetrap, you'll sell it to anybody. And it could be the most rare thing in the world, but still sell it.
No, that's really good advice. Do you prefer a stay-at-home?
Hold on, before he gets into the comments, this is why I like talking to people with more money than me, because their mindsets often separate you from the monotonous conversation that you might be having with people within your circle that are not on this degree of understanding and learning. Now, as you hear him talk, I began to think about the future where college is becoming less and less useful. This was a tradesman that had a passion for something and then figured out how to alleviate pain from a group of people. And he worked in on that from an entrepreneurial perspective. This is so much different nowadays, the way that people are making money, than even 10 years ago. Damn sure 20 years ago. All right. But they're taking their passion for something, utilizing the internet, social media, and they're creating these damn empires. This should excite you, because even when I was growing up, this shit didn't have access to me. And yet I'm almost 40 years old. But the thing is that you guys got to start figuring this out now, especially with the proliferation of AI. It's going to become way more difficult from the people that know how to leverage AI in order to do a lot more with a short amount of time than those that are just occupying their time with video games and smoking and drinking on the weekends versus those that are getting nasty with it. But shout out to all the blue collar G's out there for their jobs. Going to actually be one of the last ones eliminated by AI because it's hands-on work. But I will say this though. If you are a young man and you have no idea where to go right now, it is not a bad idea to be up at a community college getting some type of coursework in order to fall back on just in case. And shit, the difference between the workload of your first couple of years of community college versus, the first couple of years of even like high school is just different. You're not in class all day in community college as opposed to when you're in high school, or even if you're at a 4-year school. Now, what you do with your extra time is what matters. Dedicate that extra time to gaining a skill set, learning something that can alleviate a pain from someone, to accomplish a need from somebody. And if you do those things, then you're setting yourself out on a path to never be involved in someone else's business. If you have that entrepreneurial spirit, which I would actually say most people do not. Anyway, let's get back to the content here.
Wife or a woman that gets her own bread?
Heidi.
Hi.
We've
How you
been
doing?
23 years.
Okay, so my question
23
was,
years.
does he prefer a stay-at-home wife or a woman that gets her own bread?
Stay home.
Stay at home?
These are my 4 kids.
Well, the reason is because masculinity has to be earned and femininity has to be protected and preserved. And if you got a woman that's out working, trying to find her own bread, you better make sure you're a lot better than her. She's dumping your ass and she's moving on to somebody else.
I like that.
Now, the rich blue-collar savage over here says something very important, and it just went to the next scene. I wish we had opportunity to hear him elaborate on that. He said, masculinity must be earned. I wholeheartedly agree with that. Just because you're a man or male does not mean that you are a masculine man or male, right? And then he said that femininity has to be protected. Here's the thing. I don't agree with that either. But there was a period at the end of that sentence. Because see, just like masculinity has to be earned, femininity also has to be earned. Just because you got ovaries and wider hips than me does not mean that you are inherently feminine. There's a form, there's a look, there's a factor, there's a way that you treat and respect the man that is supposed to be providing as well as provisioning for you. And I want my guys to understand that you do not lay down the drawbridge and pedestalize women that do not show these behaviors or these traits. Now, if I sat down and had a conversation with the old man, I'm sure that we could both hash these ideas out to get to a real conclusion that would benefit a solution for the men that are listening to this content. But you know, there was an edit there. Anyway, let's keep going, see what else we can learn.
Better than her. She's dumping your ass and she's moving on to somebody else.
I like that. How you doing, sir? I'm Snooge.
Okay, so where am I going? Am I going to prison?
No, you're not going to prison. You're in good hands. What's your name?
Tom.
Tom.
Yeah.
What do you do for work?
Just an entrepreneur, a bunch of stuff.
So what kind of things were you doing as an entrepreneur?
I was in the bar business. I own a chain of bars.
Okay.
I invented a learning device back in 2010. I was in the Apple store.
Oh, what? What kind of device?
Learning, a child phonics-based learning device.
Okay, so you sold the business, the bar business, or what happened?
Yeah, I sold the bar business.
How much did you sell for it?
Over 20.
Over 20 mil?
Yeah.
Wow, okay, now, was that the first like big payout you had in your life?
No.
What was the first?
A land.
A land? How
Yeah.
much was that?
29.
29. Now, how did you get the money to buy the land?
I started selling shoes when I was 20 years old.
Okay.
And then I drove a truck, and then I got into another business, and I segued into being successful.
What was that business after driving the truck? I'm trying to reverse engineer this to understand.
I drove a truck, and I was in a swimming pool concession business,
Okay.
and then saved my money up, and when I was 24, I opened up a nightclub.
How much money did you save up?
Not a lot.
Not a lot.
I opened up the nightclub with initial investment $5,000.
Oh, wow. And then from there, you just kind of kept building.
Segued. It just kept building.
Okay, now last question. Do you prefer a stay-at-home wife or a woman that gets her own money?
If she's a good stay-at-home, I stay at home.
Okay.
If she's not a great stay-at-home, put her out, let her work.
How you doing, sir? I'm Snooge.
Snooge, nice to meet you.
What's your name? Mark. What do you do for work, Mark?
I am in high tech.
High tech.
I'm sales for a sales organization for a software company.
Okay, so you own this company, is what you're saying?
No, I'm one of the executives.
One of the executives. Okay, now, are you able to say the company name or?
Yeah, it's called InPartner.
InPartner. Okay. How much can one make per year doing what you do in your position?
$500,000 or up.
$500,000 or up. Okay. Now, how can one get in your shoes? What are like the first? Like, do I have to go to school? Do I have to join the right company?
Fire.
Okay,
You gotta be
fire.
relentless. You gotta be relentless. You gotta be good at what you do. You gotta love what you do. You have to be able to take a lot of hits.
Okay.
Get up and go. Getting a good degree helps a lot.
Okay. Do you need a degree? Is it required?
For our company, yes,
Okay.
you do.
Okay.
Again, I'm not sure that's every company. Silicon Valley, not always that way.
Got you. Now, you got your degree. What was next?
Then you work your way up, man.
So join the right company.
Yeah.
Okay, and work your way up.
But you sell shoes, man. Just learn how to sell. You got to be able to engage people, identify problems, solve the problems for the customer. You know the game.
Yeah. So
Right?
look, sales is important. Everyone's saying sales.
It's
sales.
so
everything in the
important.
world is sales, right?
Everybody sells
Everything.
everybody. You have a brand that you got to sell.
Yeah, absolutely.
So wherever you are, man, you're presenting yourself to companies, to people, to whoever it might be.
Sales.
You influence them. You do everything in your power to, be good, do the right things. People recognize that. guys who have made it and women who've made it, they will want to invest in young people who pay the price.
Do you prefer a stay-at-home wife or a woman that gets her own money?
So it's a really good question. My wife, I'm very blessed because my wife is very talented. She got her own education. She went after it. But when we had our first children, guess what? She stepped aside and raised our kids probably till they were about 15, 16.
Wow.
And then went back into the work field.
Yeah.
So for me, I am very grateful that she made that sacrifice.
Yeah.
Made me fight even harder, right, to support her in that, because that's not easy for a woman.
Oh, no. Yeah.
So I don't prefer one way or another. Every individual is different. Every individual has their own thing. But for me, I am so grateful that my wife, we were in a position.
Yeah.
Not everybody is.
As AI is ravishing the need for service members within a business, salespeople will always be needed. Sales is so damn important in literally every aspect of life. Shit, even what I'm doing right now up on my platform is sales, right? I'm selling ideas within a brand or an image that I have crafted over the past several years. You listening to me right now is a component of sales. And the success of that sales is predicated upon the views of every video, just often distorted by the algorithm, but that's neither here nor there. Nevertheless, when it comes to dating young ladies, right, all it is sales, baby. That's what game is. It's sales. You want something, you want them to bite on something. You have a product, your damn self, and you want them to accept the product. All right? You getting a job. That's people sales. You have particular skill sets. You walk into an organization like, listen, I need a job here. My skill sets are easily transferable towards this role. Give me a damn job. That's people sales. Product sales. It's all sales. Sales makes the damn world go round, and it is the most necessary function for businesses to make money. But getting back to the question of the video, you're beginning to see that there's a trend here. High income earners are not given a ish whether or not woman wanted to be a stay-at-home and in fact invited the idea, but that is predicated on their earning ability, or the success of it rather.
How you doing, sir? I'm Snooge. What's your name?
Brandon.
Brandon, nice to meet you. What do you do for work?
I work in the pharmaceutical industry.
Okay. Are you like a pharmacist or what do you?
Biochemist. Yeah.
Oh, biochemist. Okay.
Yeah, I do quality assurance.
Oh, wow. Now, how much can one make per year doing what you do? Would you say over 200?
Oh, yeah.
You got to go to a lot of school for that, right? What you're doing right now? Or
Well, at least a bachelor's degree.
at least a bachelor's degree, and then you just apply to the company that, okay, that would give you those opportunities?
Yeah,
okay. Now, last question. Do you prefer a stay-at-home wife or a woman that gets her own bread? What do you prefer?
A woman that gets her own bread.
Why is that?
I just think it's just, these times and age. I mean, you need help to get things done, right? Pay bills and, share the wealth.
Yeah, yeah. So the more money, the better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's all combined, right?
Okay.
I mean, it's hard. It's hard to, and it really depends on the individual as well. Right?
Yeah, yeah.
What their needs are and what their wants are. Some people don't mind staying home, mom or dad, for that matter, right?
That is true, yeah.
But I think if you really want to enjoy life and do the things you want to do, you're going to need two incomes.
Yeah.
This is how I see it.
My man.
So once we downgrade the incomes a little bit, right, this brother's in Orange County making about $200,000 per year, which is probably 50 to 75K above average, and depending upon the size of his family. It's just not to substantiate her not working. Now, if they lived in a low cost of living city, $20,000 per year, absolutely you can raise a whole family on just that alone. But if unwilling to sacrifice location, then I get his point.
How you doing, sir? I'm Snooge. What's your name?
I'm Don.
Don, nice to meet you. What do you do for work?
I'm in sales.
In sales?
Yeah.
What kind of sales exactly?
We sell, if you notice outside the big crane for the construction equipment,
Yeah.
we rent and lease and sell heavy equipment for construction.
Okay, so how much can one make per year
man on that
doing what you
TRT.
do?
200,000.
200,000? Okay.
Yeah,
now how can one get into your shoes and get a sales job like yourself and make that kind of money?
Well, a lot of companies like the one I work for, they're aggressively hiring all the time, and there's a lot of turnover in sales.
Okay.
So, but there's other entry points and entry levels too, based on your aspirations. If you score high, on certain personality tests and certain evaluations they do,
Yeah.
and if your aptitude is up there for sales, it's a great career because they provide you know, nice benefits, company truck, you know, real top of the line truck, 4x4.
Okay.
You know, you get a lot of perks, but you got to work your butt off. You know, there's no question about it. It's an intense industry.
Absolutely.
Very competitive, but
it's worth it.
yeah, it's worth it.
What are you able to say the company that is aggressively hiring right now?
Sun State.
Sun State.
Sun State Equipment Company.
Sun State Equipment Company. Look it up, guys. If you're into sales,
Yeah.
aggressively hiring. Now, last question. Do you prefer a stay-at-home wife or a woman that gets her own bread?
Both.
Both.
My wife is kind of both. She has a nice career.
Okay.
But she also is home a lot, so you know, I get the best of both worlds. She spent her life developing relationships, and her style of business is a lot of internet-based, you know, and phone calls and things of that nature. And she sets up presentations to go out and do presentations.
Okay.
For design work, for stuff like this.
Nice.
I
Show
just
money.
want her to be happy, you know what I mean, and meet my need, my basic needs, you know. So
Okay.
it's, you know, people nowadays, you know, they gotta have something to do.
Yeah.
You know, otherwise you get stuck on the computer and, you know, stuck just staring at the screen, right?
Yeah.
You got to find something that makes you happy, that you can get out and about and meet people like you guys are doing today.
100%. Happiness is key, guys.
All right, guys, I'm going to pause the content right here. I'm going to leave a link to this full street interview down in the description box down below, so you guys can go take a look and see all of the content, learn from all of the men that got up in here and were speaking about what they do. I love content like this because it also gives the opportunity to kind of talk through these real life jobs or positions, because I've always maintained this is that, you know, you can't dream what you can't see, right? You can't study what you didn't think was an option or was viable. And when you see people begin to speak about these things, then you're like, oh shit, I didn't even realize that, like, that was an option, like that was a thing. Let me see what that's hitting for. Let me try to pursue what it is that they are talking about, so you can learn sooner rather than later the skill sets necessary to eventually, inevitably, do damage with. Now, on the topic of stay at home versus out there in the workplace, you know, dependent upon your life and where you choose to live, right? Whether or not you agree with public schooling or whatever the government has set up as far as a curriculum, you know, you're going to have different answers to this question. I'm not here to say do this versus that, but I want to arm you with the correct tools within your toolkit so that you can understand the different options ahead of you. But I will say this, irrespective of any decision, never date a broke woman, because most broke women are not broke because of a lack of opportunities. Usually, more often than not, their brokenness represents poor choices, poor discipline, and an inability to understand the world around them. And why would I want a broke woman to be a part of the empire that I am building? She is not going to come on board and all of a sudden learn all of these things on the job. Just as we talked about sales within an organization, being able to sell into that organization from a talent acquisition perspective, she should be selling her skill sets to you. Because at the end of the day, whether or not you choose to be in a long-term relationship with them, cohabitation, which after 10 years, the court is going to determine that you're pretty much married, or if you decide to get married to these women, it's a business at the end of the day. And if you don't believe me, ask divorce lawyers. All right. All right, guys, that's where I'm going to leave this content here today. A very interesting way to encroach on this conversation of business while also speaking about, you know, relationships and the decisions that we're making within our life, but I'm absolutely here for it. Last but not least, my men's self-development community, link to it down in the description box down below, where we talk about subjects like this one, trying to get you guys to a higher level of understanding, introducing topics to you so that you have the possibilities at your fingertips and also have the motivation to get it done. Link to it down in the description box down below. And last but not least, I will see you guys soon. Until next time, you two. Peace.
You is ratchet as they come, rainbow weaves and batwing lashes, weighing more than a man. What time is your football practice? I bet you can hit that A-gift like a mug. How you big back it? Said a man must buy you gifts. Where here goes a Fitbit tracker? Are you mad? Cause you got 3 kids by 4 different dads. You pick who